Hey, what is up, everyone? Tyler Ramsbey here, back with another video, and it's not just me. I'm here with my friend Nate. If you follow my YouTube channel, you know the thousands upon thousands of people I know. All of you, like, you show up to your computer each day, just hitting refresh, hoping a video comes out. I know you've been disappointed. It's been about a month since I have released a video, and the reason for that is I recently switched jobs. So I was in a more IT support role. Now I'm in a senior cybersecurity role, which is what my goal was. But before I transitioned, I just took a couple of weeks off to hang out with my wife and my kids. But now I am back to the grind, and we are going to talk about the OSCP. Nate took it and he failed it. And so I wanted to talk about like some of the things he learned and all that good stuff. So, Nate, before we talk about the OSCP and just your feelings and all the experience, who are you? Um, Elevator speech, right? So if you had a few minutes to explain who you are, who is Nate?
First of all, that's interesting because it's like I'm watching you on YouTube right now. That was pretty cool, and now it's my turn to speak. So
See, I'm famous. I can
that
give you my
was
autograph afterwards if you want.
oh, that'd be awesome. That'd be perfect. So hi, my name's Nate. I was born and raised in Pipestone. Tyler and I grew up together, went to school together.
Got our
Um,
computer rights taken away together in high school. That was fun.
yeah, exactly. So at a high level, I'm in my younger years, I was a troublemaker, and that's kind of how I got into cyberspace. Seeing like keyloggers and stuff at a young age, and some of the powerful things and some of the places you can get to that you shouldn't be with computers, got me interested in cybersecurity. But also, I don't like being in trouble, so on this side of the law,
That's what they all say. That's just your cover up. I'm sure
yeah,
you're
it's the
secretly
cover
on the
up,
dark
right?
net right now selling information. It's all good.
Uh, I could go get my black hoodie if you want to see it.
You should. You probably should have it
Yeah.
on. I mean, that's probably why you failed the OSCP if you didn't wear a black hoodie when you were taking it. But
No, I was wearing it during the OSCP, so
I can't help you.
that's no
Did you have
excuse.
a anonymous mask on?
That's probably why I failed.
That's probably
Actually,
why. Yeah.
that's probably why. But I mean, that's I'm a father. I work full time. I go to school. Not much more to know. Just a simple guy.
That's awesome. So how long have you been interested in IT in general?
Um, I don't really know. Probably 10 plus years or so.
And has it always
But
been an interest in cybersecurity, it sounds like? Have you ever, like, did you do IT support? Did you do like your standard help desk? Like, what are you doing now for a job?
I did tech support for a little while. Right now, I'm doing like data analyst, data migration type stuff. Um, so there's a lot of Python involved with that.
And
But
so, oh, go ahead.
well, back in the day, I was just gonna say, I did some time with like the old Razor phones and like the Java-based OS phones. I was kind of messing with that a little bit, playing with that. Got into some hex editors. Had no idea what I was doing,
And
but
like in
I
high school,
found
you
that
did
if you,
hex editors?
yeah, like doing some hex editor on. I don't even remember what the phone was, but the I know the operating system of the phone. It was an old flip phone, but the operating system was like some Java-based thing, and if you
Sure.
flipped one of the bits in the hex editor, you're like modifying the OS. And it was just the coolest thing to me, just seeing that you
So you were
could
a
change stuff like that.
freaker. I think that's the right
No,
word
no,
for it.
no. That
Messing with
is,
phones,
but
that makes you a freaker,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
PH,
yeah,
freaker.
exactly.
That is good. Okay, well, I want you, before we even talk about the OSCP, a lot of the questions I've been getting, even on Facebook and on Discord, which you're also a part of, and I'll put a link to the Discord. Quick commercial for those of you watching. We do have a Discord server. It started as it was just me and Nate as a Facebook chat as we were studying, and then we invited more people to it, and then one of the guys started a Discord, and it's kind of blown up. So if you're interested in joining us on Discord, we meet every Monday at 8 p.m. Central Time to touch base, to share goals. There is my quick infomercial. I will put the link down in the YouTube description, so feel free to join us on there. But a lot of the questions I get on YouTube, on Facebook, is people interested in making a shift to IT. And Nate, I think you know this. With COVID, a lot of people are really reconsidering their careers. I did that a little bit, and they're wondering, how do I break into this world of IT? So if you could sit down with someone who maybe has some basic computer experience as a passion for learning IT, but has no idea how to get that first job or the next step to take, what advice would you offer him? put you on the spot.
That's a loaded question. So, I mean, there's so much. I guess I would start with there's going to be an attraction to the technicals. Don't get caught up in the technicals. Of course, it's important to know. You have to know the technical things to work in IT, but your people skills are definitely more important. Who you know is much more important than what you know in order to break into IT. I don't really have much else in that, and just apply a ton. Keep applying, and eventually you'll get a call back, and maybe you'll get the job. Maybe you'll get denied a bunch of times before you get a job. But yeah, I don't have I got lucky, so I don't have like the map how to get there, I guess.
Sure. How about just learning? What are some resources online that have been helpful for you for learning besides my YouTube channel? I know that's like the number one resource people are going to turn to learn IT stuff. My like grand total of 6 videos. But once they watch all 6 of my videos, what are some learning resources that have been helpful for you personally?
I think you summed it up right there. It's just your videos. There's not much else on the internet now.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
I guess, I did a lot of reading and stuff before I found like the sites that we both use. Try Hack Me, Hack the Box. Back in the day it was Hack This Site.
HackThisSite.org. That's still around. Did you know? Have you gone there recently?
I haven't been on it. I couldn't find it.
Dude, it's still a thing. We should.
Is it .org? That's probably why I couldn't find it.
HackThisSite.org. Yeah, I didn't look at it that much. But it looks like how it looked in 2010. Like it looks the exact same. Yep, doesn't look any different. But yeah.
Wow, that's nuts. We'll have to stream it. Like pull up your desktop quick, do some screen sharing, show it off. No,
I could if I did. I'd probably break OBS since it took me about 20 minutes to get it working. Otherwise, I would.
Yeah, that's true.
Do some Hack This Site.
True. Yeah, I guess those sites, and then just like reading in general, and then school. I'm a student at Dakota State University, so there's the formal learning, and then I don't think you can be in IT if you don't like to learn all the time, though. I guess you maybe could, but you wouldn't be very good at it. So yeah.
Well, let's talk about the OSCP, because that's on the topic of continual learning. I know that's been a huge goal for you. But even when I say the words OSCP, a lot of the people watching this video probably know what that is, but I know like even in our Discord server with IT people, a lot of people don't know OSCP. So just share with us, what the heck is the OSCP certification, and why are you spending a bunch of money and a bunch of time trying to earn it?
We just tell people to go to Wikipedia and look it up.
We could, yeah.
No, it's so OSCP is a cert. There's all kinds. You got A+. You can probably go on and on about the certs easier than I can. I don't know all of the industry certs, but probably 8 or 10 years ago, I got my eyes locked on the OSCP. That was when I discovered.
So it's been that
Backtrack.
long ago. Like you first heard about it like 10 years ago. I didn't even know what it was. I didn't even know A+ 10 years ago.
Yeah. So it was right around 2012, 2013, and that might not be the correct time frame, but I know that Backtrack, which is the precursor to Kali, Kali Linux, right? So Backtrack was on version 5, revision 3, so Backtrack 5 R3. That's when I discovered Backtrack and like a hacking OS, and offensive security and what they were all about, and the OSCP, of course. So I've had my eyes locked on that cert ever since then, and it started with like Wi-Fi hacking and stuff. I suppose the statute of limitations is probably up, so I could probably talk about that a little more. I was living pretty cheaply and just riding off the neighbor's Wi-Fi for a while, so I got pretty good at cracking Wi-Fi passwords.
That is awesome.
So that's why I was initially into that. And then OSCP is a certificate that basically is like you're a certified badass. No, it's just ethical hacking, hands-on proof of ethical hacking. It's a 24-hour exam. They give you 10 flags to grab, so user and root on 5 different VMs, or I don't know what the breakdown is anymore. I'm sure it's in my notes here somewhere. But
And what I
that's
want
all I
people
have
to
for.
know, so if you're in IT and you're watching this, you may have heard of other certifications. So like I have the pen test certification through CompTIA, and some people say that is like the CompTIA equivalent of the OSCP, and it's not, right? So I say that as someone who has the pen test certification, and I also have the CYSA, which is a cybersecurity analyst certification. Those don't come close to the OSCP. I'd say from my perspective, but it's just the truth. And the difference between that is, although like the pen test certification has some hands-on testing, it has some of those performance-based questions in the beginning. I think I had to remediate like some vulnerabilities in a web app. The difference is the OSCP is all like hands-on. You're in a virtual private network. You're in a VPN and you're hacking real machines. Where the pen test is a lot of theory, a lot of like reading through logs. So I'm not saying it's bad. I have it. I think it's useful. I think it's helpful, but it still doesn't come close to the difficulty. And I think the industry standard that is the OSCP. Would you agree, Nate?
Yeah, I guess I can't speak for the other certs. And to be honest, I don't know that OSCP is necessarily the right place to start. For me, it's just something that I've always had my eyes on, and I need to get it. It's one of those things that's on my bucket list. But I do think it's also a good entry level cert. Uh, if you want to be in pen testing and stuff like that, it's a good way to show potential employers, like, hey, I got 2 years tech support and I have this hands-on experience here.
That's good. And what's huge there, for those of you watching, especially, you know this already, Nate, but cybersecurity in general is not itself entry level. So I know a lot of people want to make the shift of like, I want to be in cybersecurity. They see money online. They're like, hey, I can make six figures working from home. And they get really disappointed when even a bachelor's degree in cybersecurity does not get them a cybersecurity job. Because to be in cybersecurity, you need a good grasp of the fundamentals in IT. You need to know networking, you need to know hardware, you need to know even IT support, you need to know scripting, programming. So there are some entry level like SOC analyst type positions, but for the most part, cybersecurity is something that people usually move into after having a few years under their belt. So just for those of you watching and you're like, I want to be in cybersecurity, just know you're probably not going to jump into it as your first job. It is a good goal to work towards, and the OSCP is definitely. I I don't have the cert, so I can't say from experience, but from my perspective, if you want that pen testing type role, which is that ethical hacking type role, the OSCP I think is more important than a degree, like even a bachelor's in cybersecurity. What would you say, Nate? Like you said, you're a student at DSU, Dakota State University. What do you think is more important from your perspective, getting that degree or the OSCP? And of course, it's not either or; it's both and. But which one do you think is priority?
I guess I'm not sure. I don't know which one looks better to employers, but I can see the pros of each one. Obviously, with a degree, it's kind of more of a longer drawn out. You're showing an employer that you have the ability to sustain that longer process. But the OSCP is probably more active and more hands on, um, at least for the offensive part. I mean, I took one course in school that was offensive, and so there's like port scanning and hacking into VMs and stuff, but it's definitely not as intense as the OSCP. So I think they both have their place. I'm not sure which one. Different employers probably look at them differently, to be
Sure.
honest. But I don't know have good answers to that necessarily.
That's good. Well, let's talk about the whole process, right? So you have the OSCP. It's a 48-hour test total. Do I have that correct? So you
Yep.
got 24 hours to hack five machines, 24 hours to write a report. You took the test recently. It's been 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I'm trying to remember the timeline. When did you attempt it?
Uh, that's about right. 2 or 3 weeks ago. I could pull it up on my calendar here.
Well, it's
So yeah, I took it.
fresh. It's fresh though. Like it wasn't 6 months ago. It should still be fresh in your head,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
assuming.
two
And
weeks ago, the third. Yeah.
so walk us through that day. What was it like preparing for it? Because most people don't take 48-hour tests, right? It's a different kind of beast. So just walk us through your initial preparation for that first attempt.
Sure. So I actually did like a dry run. There's tons of guides online about how to prep for the OSCP. So I was following TJ Null's uh, guide. Well, TJ Null actually has like that list of boxes, so I was going through and trying to work on those. But I think it was John J. Hacking is the guy's name. He has like a more comprehensive guide of what to study and how to prep. And one of the things he recommends is a dry run. So I did that. Really crapped out on that one as well. I got like 3 out of the 10 flags on the dry run. So I just kept working at it, and then scheduled the exam because I felt like I had, more experience and had practiced and would do better. Did the same on the exam. But that day was interesting, right? The day of the exam, I scheduled it for either 7 or 8 in the morning. I don't remember. I think it was 7. So my check-in was at 7. I actually showed up a little bit late. They give you a window where you can be up to 15 minutes late and still start on time or whatever.
So what if you're 20 minutes late? Do you have to completely reschedule it?
There's something about that. Yeah, there's something where if you're like 20 or 30 minutes late, I don't remember what the window is exactly, but if you're late, you don't get to take it. So, and I'm not sure if you get to reschedule or if you just lose the attempt and have to buy a new voucher. I'm not sure.
So lesson number 1, be on time.
Yeah, definitely be on time. The first thing you go through is like hopefully I'm not like oversharing here. So before you post, we might have to verify that I'm allowed to share all this.
My videos do go viral, so I'd be careful what you share.
That's a good point. Yeah, right up there with John Hammond, right?
Yeah. Sorry, John Hammond. If John Hammond, if you ever want to be on my YouTube channel, I might let you. Let me know. I'm up here, you're down here, so we'll see. But
whoa,
anyways,
them's fighting words, bro. Oh goodness. So yeah, so don't be late, like I was. And I wasn't very
don't be late. And what's the check-in process like?
So you can actually start checking in early, and I would highly recommend that. I didn't, but I would highly recommend it. By the time I started the exam, I was already 30 minutes into my scheduled time slot.
Sure.
So that's kind of a defeating feeling to start off with. I'm not going to do that the next attempt. I'm going to show up early and get the check-in started. But you go through, if you've ever taken like an online course and done a proctored exam with like Lockdown Browser, very similar.
I hate Lockdown Browser.
Yeah,
it's so buggy. At least
oh man,
when I worked at a college and had to provide support for it, that thing always broke stuff. But anyways,
yeah. So they don't actually like lock you down like that or anything. But it's the same check-in process. You show them like an ID. They make you put your face up next to the camera like the ID so they can verify it's you, and then you take your webcam and scan your whole room with it. They ask you to take your watch off if you have a smartwatch. They ask you to take your phone off or put your phone away, which is really weird.
But you can use Google. And you can sleep and stuff, right?
Yeah. You can, and you can walk away. Like I can walk away, grab my phone. I did a couple times, many times actually. I walked away, run into the bathroom, checking phones, stuff like that.
But you got to put it to the side when you start?
Yeah, they ask you to like put it to the side. I'm not too sure what's going on with that, but I ended up setting it like behind me so it was in frame so they could see that I wasn't playing. I just didn't want to get accused of cheating, which I don't think I'm at risk of because I failed miserably. But
pretty terrible cheater.
Yeah, exactly. I wrote the wrong name on the exam actually. That's why I failed. Yeah. So after the long check-in process, they give you your IP range. They actually give you a list of boxes, so you don't have to like discover the IPs or anything. They give you a list of IPs, and they give you like a summary of. Gosh, I don't know if I put it on my notes. I don't remember exactly what the summary was like, but they just give you kind of like an overview of what you're looking for or something.
Like
a list
each
of
box
objectives.
has a summary that goes with it?
Yeah, each box has like a list of objectives. So they say like find local.txt, find proof.txt, paste the keys in your control panel. Yeah, we're really going to have to make sure I'm allowed to share this because I don't know where the line is, but I know that there's a line. There's definitely a line.
I'll wait to post it. We'll
okay. Yeah, we'll have to verify this. But I mean, if you've ever done any capture the flag stuff, it's basically the same. Break in, get user, get root, post the keys. and then rinse and repeat. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I actually got 6 boxes. So the new format
Interesting.
is 4 boxes, or I'm sorry, it's 3 boxes of just like the standard, the standard hack into this machine. It's not
Like a
related to the other
standalone
ones.
computer. It's not like Active
Right,
Directory, not okay, yeah.
right. And then you have the domain, which consists of a server, 2 clients, and you have to own the domain. So there's 6 computers or 6 VMs, but the domain was only worth 4, I think.
Sure.
I don't remember the points. You can look up a table for the points if you want to know that, but I ended up getting user on one of the domain machines, and then I got user on 2 of the standalone machines. One of them was a buffer overflow, and part of my studying process for the OSCP was really digging into the buffer overflow and thoroughly trying to understand it. So one thing I do when I'm trying to understand things is automate them, because if you're able to program it, it means you understand it. So I wrote a PowerShell script to automate it, and then I had to reverse engineer my own script to fully document the buffer overflow. So yeah, there's that. Am I rambling too much? I feel like
No,
I'm
this
kind
is
of
great.
wrapping up.
Nope, you're
Okay.
good.
Well, I feel like I'm kind of wrapping up on like the question that you asked, which was just like a high level overview, right?
No, I said walk us through the journey of that
Oh,
day.
oh,
This is good.
okay. Sure. Yeah. So after check-in, you just get to it, right? So I started with I use auto recon for all my recon. I start up auto recon, um, and something really weird happened to me during the exam. For some reason, I just used a different flow than I normally do. So normally I'll take one box at a time. I'll shoot auto recon or direct auto recon at the box, and then move to the next box, direct auto recon at it, and then I'll circle back around to the first scan and start looking at it once all the scans are running. For some reason this time, I put the list of IPs into a file and had auto recon do all of them at the same time. So right away, I was kind of breaking the mold of what I was used to doing. And I'm not sure if it was nerves or just a late check-in or what it was, but for
Sure.
some reason I didn't follow my normal habits. And I don't want to say that that's why I failed, because there's definitely more reasons than just that. But I think it's probably important to do things the way that you're comfortable doing them.
That's
And
another
that's
good lesson. Yeah, that's a good reflection.
right, right. So then after getting user on a couple boxes, I think I ended up getting one of the standalones first, and then the buffer overflow second. And then I was really nervous about the domain, about Active Directory. I was extremely underprepared for Active Directory. But I
You
had
were
a couple.
grinding out Active Directory like a couple
Oh, it
days
was
ahead
so
of time, right?
bad.
Like that's all you were doing, it seemed like.
Yeah. Well, that's because I had no idea, and that was like my last minute cramming, and I was super pumped that I was able to get user on one of them. Because if you look at the way that the points are structured now, you can either not touch the Active Directory set and do the extra credit, which will give you a pass, or you can do the Active Directory and then a combination of 1 or 2 boxes or something like that. But there's a way to pass without doing the Active
Sure.
Directory. So I was super pumped to get one of the boxes, but um, yeah, I don't really know what else to say about it.
And so did you go forward with the writing the report? You decided not
No,
to
I
do that.
didn't. Nope, I only had 3 flags out of 10, and I figured, like, I was just so bummed out and just tired, exhausted. The last 8 hours, I was just beating my head against the same wall. I didn't get any progress in the last 8 hours, and that's a super defeating feeling. So I just like took the next day to relax, and the next day when I was supposed to be writing my report was also my last day of lab time. So I purchased additional lab time to complete the extra credit, and I hadn't completed the extra credit yet. So I took that extra day instead of writing the lab report. I finished up the Active Directory set so that I could complete the extra credit, So now I have all the stuff I need for that extra, I think it's 10 points that they give you if you submit all your lab
Sure.
write up. So I can get the 10 extra credit whenever I decide to do a good attempt. I can submit the extra credit with my report, I think.
That's
Um,
good. And
yeah.
so you failed. And what I appreciate about that, I'm not happy that you failed, but I know like often when
You kind
people
of
are,
laughed a little bit about it. No.
I would have failed too. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
When people make a YouTube video or write a blog post, it's all about success, right? Here's all the certs
Mhm.
I've passed. Very few people talk honestly and openly about the things they failed. And I know the OSCP, along with other certs, have a pretty high fail rate. You just don't hear about that because often people fail, and maybe they'll decide, well, maybe this isn't the career for me, and they won't do any more attempts. What I appreciate about what you're doing is you failed, and yes, it sucked, it felt terrible, but you're making the video, you're being open, you're being public about it, and you're not done, right? You're giving it another shot. So what are you doing differently as you prep for the second attempt?
So one thing I really noticed is that my notes were kind of crap. Um, as you're studying and preparing for the OSCP, you're kind of putting together this run list or this playbook, and my playbook was just not good. I relied a lot on the internet, so I just had like links, and I was on Hacktricks a lot, which is good. They have good info, but um, I hadn't taken that info, reformatted it, and put it in my notes. And I think that that's really important to do. So I'm really focusing on restructuring my notes. I completely started over, and what I'm doing now is each time I find a foothold or privilege escalation, I make sure that it's a method in my notes. And if I don't have that method in my notes, I put it in there. And I'm kind of structuring it like a like a programming project where you have a
Sure.
couple of different files and then they're linked. So I'm hoping that this will be helpful. I'm kind of building my own little hack tricks, to be honest, and I'm kind of excited about it. But another thing is I'm not going to beat my head against the same box. If I'm 2 hours in without progress, I'm just going to look at a write up and what's the next step? What am I missing? And then that needs to go in my notes. What did I miss and how can I fix my notes so I
Mm.
don't miss it next time?
That's good.
So
Let
I
me just
think.
pause you right there because
Mhm.
I think what at least this is an issue I had when I first started doing like try hack me and hack the box. I felt like I failed when I had to look at a write up, and I think it was John Hammond who I just dissed a little bit ago. I think it was him in one of his videos. He talked about how looking at a write up isn't failing. The goal is to learn, right? So you learn through frustration. So there is a level of frustration you should run into, but when you get stuck, especially when you're practicing, right? Don't wait 3 days on that. Yeah, go find a write up, and then follow that write up up until the point where you're no longer stuck, right? Don't read the whole thing. Follow up until you're no longer stuck. Document that and keep digging through the box. And that was like revolutionary for me personally. Um, when I did try hack me or hack the box, because I find at least for me when it comes to IT or security or pen testing, I get so freaking angry when like a vulnerability that like it should be working is not working, and it's so easy for me to say like screw it and like just quit and shut off my computer and then not come back to it, and that's not a win. So the goal is to learn, and I think write-ups are useful for that. That's why I make YouTube videos, right? Is hopefully someone gets stuck and they watch it and they don't watch the whole thing, but they watch up until the point where it's helpful, and then they dive back into it. So I just want to draw that out and keep going.
And then they subscribe, and they're lifelong subscribers of the Tyler Ramsbey YouTube channel.
Yeah, they can join, the billions of other people who have subscribed to my channel.
Do you have any merch yet?
I should get some like some
Yeah,
boxing gloves that say Tyler on it or something.
yeah, definitely.
Maybe I should. You know who should sponsor me though? The makers of this brick wall behind me.
You do. You should at least get a commission for as much as you pitch that to other
I
people.
should. So those of you watching, like you think it's like a magic trick. You think this is a real brick wall. Watch this. So it's like a vinyl cloth on a photography stand stretched out behind me because I make my videos in an unfinished basement. So I don't actually know where I bought this. If whoever this is ever sponsors me, I'll post them in my YouTube descriptions, but they haven't sponsored me yet. So just Google brick wall backdrop. You'll probably find the same one. It was cheap. All right. Back to the content. Anything else you're doing differently? Right? So you're going to work better on your notes. Was a big thing. When you're doing boxes, you're going to look at walkthroughs where you're going to document the exploit. Anything else that you're doing differently to prep for the second attempt?
I guess, like you just mentioned, to be honest, the biggest thing that I'm doing differently is just not feeling like a loser for looking at a write-up. And honestly, like you said, it is revolutionary because you can't ride write-ups, right? You can't just like ride them the whole way. You're not going to learn anything. None of the techniques are going to stick. And I was trying really hard to avoid that, but I was trying so hard to avoid that I started taking a sense of pride, like an unrealistic sense of pride about like, oh, I did this myself.
Sure.
And I didn't need to look up the answer, and I felt like a failure if I were to look up the answer. Well, there's a point where you just have to look up the answer, and I think setting it at 2 hours is going to be my goal. Like 2 hours of no progress, that's long enough to look something up, instead of just walking away and quitting for the night, because that's what I would do too. Well, then you'd be stuck on the same box for a week or two, and that's not progress. That's just beating your head against the wall. So I did just notice here too, while you were pitching that brick wall again, I did like a post-mortem after the exam. I was looking through and I wrote like a lessons learned for myself.
Oh, sure. Yeah, share that.
Yeah, so I'm not going to share my screen because I don't want to accidentally like divulge some...
Break Discord, break OBS.
No,
Oh.
This is more like some top secret OSCP stuff I don't want to accidentally share. But so the breakdown is, I only got 3 out of 10 flags, so boo-hoo, that sucks. But one thing that surprised me, most of my studying involved Linux boxes, right? I only had 1 Linux box on the exam. Everything else was Windows. So, and then after failing the exam, I kind of went out and did some research, and that's a common theme for people who fail the first time, is just not practicing enough Windows. So, because the privilege escalation for Windows, as you know, is way different. Initial footholds is way different. Linux boxes are just completely different than Windows boxes, and you need to practice Windows more than Linux, because the Linux boxes are there. They're easy. Maybe not easy, but they're easier, I think. It seems easier. So there's that. Windows is much more important than you'd think it'd be. Areas I think I did well in. Enumeration, I feel like I kind of had enumeration down. There wasn't ever a point where I did another scan and found something that wasn't in the first scan.
Sure.
So I also feel like I did pretty good at time management. I
Minus
marked out
being late in the beginning.
Yeah. So there's that, right? Yeah. I was late, but I'm great at time management. That's why I broke the day down into 2-hour blocks, and I set alarms for every 2 hours. Oh goodness, what were the 2 hours for? Per flag. So I gave myself 2 hours for user on a box, and then 2 hour, if I got user, another 2 hours for root. If I didn't get user in that 2 hours, I just stopped, moved on to the next box. Because at that point, it's like, yeah, I'm probably in a rabbit hole, or I just need to refresh my look at this. I didn't stop myself from taking bathroom breaks. If I needed a bathroom break, get up and go do it. A couple times I just got up and walked around.
You didn't use a cup like at your desk or Mountain Dew
Oh,
bottle?
I was thinking about sticking a catheter in and just not moving, but
I mean, you probably would have passed if you would have done that. So that's another lesson.
I wasn't
Use a
dedicated
catheter
enough.
when you take the OSCP.
Yeah, that's what it is. Oh goodness, 2 hours per flag. Yeah, so I think the 2 hours though really will help you avoid rabbit holes, because there are rabbit holes. There are quite a few rabbit holes that you could get stuck in, I think. And there's a lot of exploits that seem like they would work that you might get stuck in, like trying to fix when that's not even the right avenue to be on. Like, you're better off just moving on to the next one, coming back to this one later and being like, why did I spend so much time on this exploit when there's this other exploit that just works? So those were like things I felt like I did good on: time management and enumeration. Things I didn't do so good on: my notes were trash, and I kind of already talked about that. Privilege escalation. So I rely heavily on kernel exploits, and I didn't realize it. But I went back and looked at all the write-ups that I've done in the past. Most of them are some sort of kernel exploit. There's some exceptions on the Linux boxes, but I only had one Linux box. So privilege escalation is important. I'm going to review was it TCM? I'm going to review
TCM
both
Security.
of the. Yeah,
This
I'm going
video
to
is
review
brought to you
both of
by
those.
TCM Security. I applied for a job with them and they didn't hire
Sponsor
me.
us.
So it's actually not brought to you by TCM Security because they didn't hire me, but they're awesome.
Bummer. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's an awesome course. They have a couple different courses that are pretty good, but see, privilege escalation, Active Directory, and then just my methodology, my general methodology. I feel like I need to kind of work on maybe a checklist or find some framework or something to follow, because I have a tendency to look at scan results and say, ooh, look at that port, and then go off and look at that one. And then like 20 minutes later, I realize, oh crap, like I didn't even check this port, you know? Yeah, and then I have a plan of action here. Practice a lot. So my goal is to practice by doing one box a day, which I've been not really doing very good this week, but I kicked ass last week. And then the power went out, and I kind of fell off the wagon.
When did you ever get power back on?
It was like 26 hours, I think, power was out. So power went out Thursday night, came back Friday night.
That's rough. For those of you who don't know, we live in South Dakota, and we're back to the days of the Dust Bowl. We had a huge windstorm with dust come in and try to murder us. So that was fun.
Yeah, without power, my kids said. Yeah, oh my gosh, that would have been nuts to lose power during the exam. Wow. That would be bad. So when the power went out, my kids said it was like the 90s all over again, and kind of made me feel a lot older than I am.
You know, the 90s when we had horse buggies and stuff, and
yeah, power.
Lived in mud huts out in the prairie.
Right, the city didn't want you to flush the toilet and whatever. Yeah, so I mean that's really all I have for the post-mortem or the write-up or the lessons learned that I did.
Have you scheduled your date for the second attempt? Or
no,
how do you know when you're going to be ready? Like, do you have like metrics in your mind that when I hit this, I know that I'm ready for the second attempt?
Yeah, so I am going to work through the list of proving grounds boxes that offensive security has. So one of the videos I watched after being all bummed out about failing was, I think Jason Sec is the name of the channel. He's like long-haired Australian dude, and he's talking about how it's basically, so you failed, now what? Specifically for the OSCP. So he was saying that the proving grounds boxes are better preparation for the OSCP. So I'm going to go through the proving grounds boxes, which are all on VulnHub. So, you know, like that spreadsheet I sent you of boxes. I'm just going through that. I want to root all of those before the second attempt. And I guess I don't know where I'm at on it right now, but I think there was a total of 60 of them. So it should take around 2 months if I do one a day. I haven't been sticking to one a day, so I might have to pump out like 2 a day or something for a while. You know, I'm hoping not to push it out too much longer,
Sure.
but definitely before the year mark. When did we start seriously studying? Was that August last year?
I think so. That sounds right. We started the group like in August, September, I think. Maybe October. It was sometime in that time range, yeah.
Sure. So yeah, I would say like less than 6 months for sure, but definitely not in the next week or so, because there's just I'm not comfortable enough with it yet, you know. And seeing the exam, actually going toe to toe with it, really put it into perspective. And I'm I'm underprepared. I've made a lot of progress since I started, but I'm still underprepared, and I have a long way to go, I think, still.
Well, that's good. Once again, thank you for just being open, honest. Hopefully, not maybe not hopefully, but someone may have failed the OSCP and they stumbled across this video, and hopefully this made them feel a little bit better and maybe a little more confident, or I don't know if excited is the right word, but a little more confident about the second attempt and some steps they can take to prep for it. Any parting words of wisdom you want to leave
Yeah,
with
for that
us?
person, we suck together. Woohoo!
That's good.
Yeah.
That is great. Well, hey, for all of you watching, I just want to thank you for tuning into this video. You can subscribe if you want. I don't ever really tell people to subscribe, but this came up a few times.
Punch the bell.
If you want to join the billions of other people, and get me this sponsorship from this brick wall and TCM Security and John Hammond, if he gets on my YouTube channel, those are all my all my goals. You can subscribe. I'll try to post content. I was trying to do it once a week. A lot of it's just going to be walkthroughs, but I'm hoping to have more long style conversations like this. A lot of videos will be short, 5 to 10 minutes. But I also want to have more conversations like this with different people in the industry about different certifications. So subscribe, stay tuned, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.